Hey, it's Scott and Brewster. Welcome to Brewster's Garage. Over the last few months, as I've been working on a Studebaker, I've also been working on some of the tools that I need for the current stages of work that I'm doing, but also future stages. So this video is all about some of the tools that I've built for work on the car. None of the stuff is all that original. It's all stuff that's been done before. In fact, I relied heavily on other YouTubers to break the ground here for me and used their guidance to build out what I'm building today. So a lot of times I'm not going into a lot of details about what I'm doing. I will leave that to these experts that are already out there and already posted videos on them, and I will put some links to some of the videos that I used to build some of these tools in the description of this video. So if you want more information and more detailed instructions on how to do some of this stuff, be sure to check those out. Well, I was scrolling my phone a couple weeks back and looks like the algorithms got me. I saw an ad pop up from Eastwood that they're having a sale on this bead roller, and it was a Labor Day sale, and so I went ahead and purchased it. So that was a couple weeks ago. But I need to do some work on this bead roller. Maybe you've seen these before. These are kind of the generic manual bead roller that are out there. They come under they're branded under different names. This one's branded under Eastwood, but you can see them branded under a number of different names. And I am going to motorize this. It's a manual bead roller, which means that there's a crank that attaches here on this shaft that you need to crank manually in order to operate it. But I want to power it because I want to be able to use two hands if I'm using the bead roller, and I don't want a second person that has to be here to crank it for me to use two hands. So I am going to motorize it. If I wanted to buy the motor for this particular bead roller from Eastwood, it's about a $500 purchase, even though the bead roller itself as a manual was something like 160 bucks. So I want to motorize it myself, and if you do a search on YouTube for motorizing a manual bead roller, you're going to see a number of videos come up on how to motorize this. I am going to motorize it based on a video that I saw using an ATV winch, which are relatively cheap to buy on Amazon. I will put the link to the YouTube video that I watched that went through how to motorize it, but there's a number of other people out there that have posted YouTube videos on how to motorize it. So I'm going to do that. The other thing I'm going to do for it, which is also a very, very common thing that's people do with these, is they weld on some more structure onto it so that there's less flex in it. So I'm going to do that as well. And this is all just part of building up my tooling that I'm going to need for the Studebaker once I really start getting into the body panels and replacing floor pans and fabricating some other stuff that I need for it. So anyways, I'm going to get going on this. The first thing I'm going to do is pull out my bank of scrap metal and metal pieces and see what I have there that I can use to stiffen this and to make a stand for it and the other things that I'm going to need. Okay, so for the stand for the bead roller, I'm going to reuse this this base that I made for something a number of years ago that no longer is needed, whatever I made it for. And then I have a bunch of this 1 1/4 inch square tubing. I want to say 14 gauge, which should be plenty stiff, hopefully for both the stand and for stiffening up the bead roller. Since the center of the stand is pretty wide, much wider than the 1 1/4. I'm going to weld on some angle iron to the 1 1/4 just to make it thicker, so it sits here, and that will also help it make that the post that comes off of the stand much stiffer. And then as far as stiffening up the bead roller itself, and when I say stiffening, again, this is something that is commonly done with these generic bead rollers. This is what, 1/2 inch steel here, 1/2 inch solid plate steel here, and you have to cut this, or they have to cut this slot for the throat so you can fit in the piece that you're going to do the bead rolling on. But there's only this little section that's solid at the bottom of the back of the throat, and you can see how it flexes. Even just with one hand I can flex it pretty easily. So plan is, and again, this isn't really my idea, it's plenty of people have done this before. The plan is to weld a piece here, a piece at the bottom, and then a couple pieces to connect them, just to kind of stiffen it all up. So that, I think, is what I'm going to do, since I have plenty of this 1 1/4 14 gauge. So that should work pretty well with that. And then we can move on to the other stuff that we want to do for this, namely powering it. Well, with the clarity of a new day, I realized that I messed up a little bit. I should have not cut these tubes off at the end of the bead roller. I should have extended them beyond the bead roller, because then I could use them to mount the motor right here. But thanks to the wonderful world of welding, I'll just weld on some extensions off of them and maybe brace them just to make them a little more stiff. And that way I can mount that motor there. The other thing that I think I might have messed up on is the height. It's already maybe slightly a little too tall for me, and it's not even on the casters yet, so that's going to make it even taller. So I may have to lower it a little bit as well. But anyways, second day on working on the bead roller. and hopefully we'll get the motor mounted and some other things done today. To attach the motor to the winch motor to the bead roller, I took a different approach, a little bit of a different approach than a couple of the YouTube videos that I saw about doing this sort of thing. The two videos that I saw, what they did was they took the spool that came with the winch, had a gear in it. Half of the gear was in the spool and half the gear attached to the winch motor. Right here. And they cut the spool in half, and then they put a sleeve over the shaft, the remaining part of the shaft that was in the spool, and then the other sleeve would attach to the D shaft here that was on the bead roller. I took a different approach. I took the gear out and I welded it to a piece of DOM tubing that had a 1-inch ID opening that fits over the D shaft on the bead roller. Welded the gear to the other end of this short section of DOM and drilled and tapped a couple holes into the DOM that would use set screws to clamp down on the flat portion of the D shaft here. So a slightly different approach. I just didn't feel like this aluminum spool was going to be that strong. So anyways, same result, different approach. We'll see which one works out best. For the electronics, I asked Mike to help. I've mentioned Mike before. He's the one that gave me the Studebaker. And he's just much more of an expert at this than I am. Is this the power supply?
Yes. So that's.
Is this what I was looking at? I thought it was about this
You've
size.
seen both. So this is the one this is the line voltage. This is next to 12 volts. This is what controls the speed.
Okay.
Okay. And switch.
Okay.
This is where that goes in.
Yeah.
This is the go switch. Because
just to turn it on.
Yeah. In the old so.
This is the readout, and it's just a number. It doesn't necessarily represent anything.
It represents 0 to 100%.
It's a percentage.
Output.
Okay.
But it won't be related to necessarily to the speed.
Okay.
It's just so the whole thing.
Okay, so the next thing I need to do is build an enclosure to house all of these electronic components that Mike put together for me. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld an enclosure out of aluminum that's going to mount somewhere on the column here. And I'm going to do it out of aluminum because I need to practice my aluminum welding. I actually have never welded aluminum with my home TIG welder here, so this is kind of get something I need done and also get some practice in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I did some work off camera to wrap up the work on the bead roller. I added the casters to the stand. I put some holders on the pillar to hold the dies that I have. I put in all the rest of the electronics that Mike put together for me into the enclosure, made a front for it, and mounted all of the controls on the cover. So it all looks pretty good. It all runs. I've tried it a couple of times. Before that, I did a couple things a little different, like welding the gear to this piece of DOM to attach the bead roller to the motor. One of the other things that I did that was a little different from some of the videos that I saw was that we did this foot pedal. And the unique thing about this foot pedal, well, this particular foot pedal is just an on-off switch, and it's actually a repurposed guitar effects pedal. So this just turns it on and off, but it is attached by this 7-pin connector, and this 7-pin connector just happens to be the exact same connector that the pedal for my TIG welder uses. So the nice thing is, if I don't want just the on and off, if I want to control the speed of the bead roller by a foot pedal, I can take the pedal off of my TIG welder, plug it in here, and then I'll have a variable speed pedal that I can use. So I think that's kind of a nice addition to some of the other ones, other bead rollers that I've seen. So other than just running a few test pieces through it just to kind of get the hang of it to make sure it functions, I really haven't used it that much. I need to put in a lot more practice into it to probably get to the point where I can actually make something that will be used on the Studebaker. But just to turn it on for you and so you can see how it functions. So on switch, I'm going to press the foot pedal to turn it on. I've got I can adjust the speed with the dial there. I have a forward and reverse function. The dial has a readout, so if I find a speed that I kind of like, I can find it again pretty easily. So I'll run something through real quick just so you can see it in action, but seems to be working. I got this little piece of 22 gauge, I think it is, and scrap. I'll run it through it and see if I can get something on it. anyways, goes through. Like I said, I got a lot of work to kind of get proficient in it, but it seems to function, so we'll see. So the next thing I'm going to be working on is a hammer. I don't really have the hammer, or at least didn't start out this project with the hammers that I needed. I had, you know, typical hammers that would you have for woodworking and for working on the house, but I didn't really have the metalworking hammers, and I'm slowly kind of collecting them. I went out and bought kind of a pretty cheap set of 3 hammers that have different points to them. I bought a tucking hammer that I haven't used yet, that hopefully will work. And I went to a website called hammersource.com and bought this hammer for planishing, and I've used it a little bit. It's got one flat side and it's got a slightly crown side, and I painted the crown side black just so I can tell it apart at a glance. But I do want to make a slapper hammer, and what a slapper hammer is essentially looks like a spatula, only it's heavy. It's made out of heavy steel, and I will be following a process that I saw. There's been a couple YouTubers that I watch that have had put out videos about making a slapper hammer. Carl Fisher, Make It Customs, he has one out. He makes his out of old bench files that have gone dull. That's one way to do it, I guess. But the process I'm going to follow for this, for the slapper that I'm going to make is, I saw on a video channel called Coach Built Classics. So if you haven't checked out Coach Built Classics on YouTube, you should check it out. It's a guy, I think he films out of South Africa. He builds race car bodies or sports car bodies, all from hand, out of aluminum, does absolutely beautiful work. But he put out a video a while ago on how to make a slapper out of portions of a leaf spring. And I will put a link to that video in the description of this video. And so I am going to make my slapper out of a leaf spring. I did hold on to one of the leaf springs from the Studebaker, somewhere in here. Oh, it's right here. I'm gonna make my slapper out of this leaf spring, just like I saw on Coach Built Classics. So we'll see how it comes out. So first thing I need to do is pull that out and take it apart, get the individual leaves apart and clean it up, and we'll get going on it. Okay, so here's a piece that I cut off of that leaf spring. I think will work. It's about a little over 10 inches long. I'm going to do about 5 inches for the hammer portion and about 5 inches for a handle. And so the next step I need to take is to bend it to create that handle. So I'm going to get the torch out for that. It will get better. Give it some time. Free I think that's it. It looks pretty good. I'm happy with the way it came out. I even kind of like the patina from the old steel on this side. Kind of excited to try it out. Anyways, nice project. In only an hour, 2 hours or something like that to get it done. Has a nice feel for it. Anyways, pretty cool. You know, I might end up making more of these. I was kind of thinking that maybe this the blade here is a little short, maybe a little longer, but I know on the Coach Builder that I watch, you know, he kind of showed me, or he kind of showed on his video on how to make these. The different ones that he's made, sometimes they're really small with more of an offset handle to get into tight spots, but yeah, that's pretty nice. It's pretty cool. Anyways, that's pretty, there it is. Slapper hammer. The final tool I'm going to show you for this episode is a pneumatic planishing hammer. My weld seams need a fair amount of work, and I'm hoping I can use this planishing hammer to smooth them out. I didn't use any particular YouTube instructional video for this tool. I basically just looked at what was for sale and tried to build something similar to that. To build it, I need to construct a pair of jaws with a hinge in the middle so that it can be opened and closed. Once in position, the planishing hammer will be held in place with a tensioning rod. The planishing is done by a pneumatic hammer, which will hit the weld seam against a lower anvil. I've got the majority of the planishing hammer built or about and either welded or about to be welded. Most of the ring here is welded in. I have one more piece to weld in here, and I've got the tensioning rod. I've got the brackets for them here. I just haven't welded them in yet, so they're going to go somewhere like this. I'm kind of waiting to have this delivered. To finalize where these brackets should be welded in and how long this section should be. So let me open this up and see what we got. Oh. All right, so we have a foot pedal to turning it off and on so I can operate it. This was, I think, about 16 bucks on Amazon. So hopefully that works. And then we have our air chisel booster. Get lost. I'm hoping this is going to work. Now that I look at it, I'm a little leery about it because I meant to get one that had a long barrel here so I can clamp around it. And this is a pretty short barrel. So hopefully, Brewster, no, get away from there, get. So anyways, we'll see if this works. It doesn't have too much space here, but maybe enough. We'll see. Anyways, so this air hammer, the reason like I said, I meant to get one with a long barrel and I didn't. But it also has a adjusting screw here so I can adjust how hard it's hitting. Anyways, I'll have to look at this a little closer. So there's that, and then there is these should be the flat chisels that go into the air hammer. Yep. So that will go into the air hammer. Nice flat-ish. There's a little pimple in there that I might have to weld up or something. That's a bummer. Oh wait. Oh, that one's radiused. Shoot. Huh. I'm not sure if these are going to work. I'm going to have to maybe modify these because this one's radiused and this one's got a little pimple in it. Little dimple in the middle. So I don't know. Maybe I could weld that up or something. And on this one, maybe I can grind it flat. I'm not sure. So we'll see. Anyways, that would go into the air hammer. And then the last thing is should be the bottom anvils. So these are the bottom anvils. These are kind of the most expensive part. I think 4 of them for $70. But essentially these will go insert into here and be the bottom anvil that the air hammer will hit on. So anyways, this is what I got. I'll have to see if this air hammer is going to work. This is really kind of unfortunate about this. Maybe I just grind this down until that little pimple, that little dimple is gone. I don't know. So anyways, got some work to do still, but so far the planishing hammer is looking pretty good. And anyways, onward. Well, I ended up returning that first air chisel that I bought. The casing was just too short for me to really be able to clamp it properly to the planishing hammer. So I bought a new one that has a same brand, just a different model, has a longer casing here, so it's a little bit more to grip. This time I actually read the Amazon listing and discovered that I could buy just the tool without any chisels, and that saved me about $20. So I guess it pays to actually read. So I think this one will work. I have to make a bracket for it. It's essentially going to be a clamp that clamps around the casing here, and is welded to the end of this pipe. So that casing is got looks like a 2-inch outside diameter, and I don't think I have any 2-inch pipe or tubing. So looks like I'm going to have to bend something up to use as the clamp for this.
My mama told me I should beware. I'll tell you a story about mean people who take use of innocent girls. Don't mean to scare you, but be careful. Maybe think twice before you walk alone. Call somebody to take you home. Look over your shoulder when you go that way. This world might take you to a bad, bad place. Remember you told me things your mama said. She never gave you enough affection. Let you run around. She didn't know you're bound to feel alone and such neglection. You may feel the need to fix the past you need and show overlovingness. Feed me, pushes me further. World full of bad, I can't take much longer. Hold tight, you'll see I'm right. I don't tell you nothing just to mess with your mind. Don't be cold and act like you know some things, my child. Make us all feel small. Remember you told me I should watch out. You see not I will have a good.
Today is empty peanut butter jar day, and that's one of Brewster's favorite days. All right, so I have the planishing hammer done and all put together, and I'm pretty happy with it. It seems to work. I tried it out real quickly, and it was working fine. I'm gonna try it out much more today on the roof of the Studebaker on the weld seam, see how it does with smoothing out some of those seams. But real quickly, I have the air chisel all set up. I made the clamp for it out of bending that flat stock. I put in another bracket just to support the clamp, and then the unintended benefit of this bracket was that it also keeps the trigger pressed, which is something that I need. And then I put in this air coupler, or this air hose into into the gun, but then I realized I really need more of a quick release coupler on it, because I need to be able to put oil in the air chisel on occasion to keep it lubricated. Anyways, it's 3/8 inch air hose, comes down to a uh, pedal, so I can turn the air chisel on, or the planishing hammer on or off, by just pressing this pedal. I have my tensioning rod connected to the brackets that I fabricated. The bottom piece here, the bottom end of the tensioning rod, I just have a safety pin through it, And so that's just so that I can take it out quickly and open the jaws up if I want to, or if I need to get it into a space. Like I said, I did try it real quickly. Seems to work, but I can tell right away that it's just too tall. It's a little unwieldy, and it doesn't fit through the door window openings or the windshield openings since I did the chop. It's too tall. So I think what I'll do is I'll probably make another lower part to the jaw, and then I'll keep this one so that I can use it if I need to, if I need something with a little bit more clearance. But I think the next one I'm going to make is going to come down to where this bracket is and then jog over pretty out to about here and then go up. Just so that it's a little smaller. I think it'll be a little lighter. Oh, by the way, the tubing that I use, I don't think I mentioned it, is it's 1 1/4 outside dimension, 11 gauge wall, which is about 1/8 of an inch. It is not DOM, it's just cold rolled. I went to buy DOM, but the supply metal supply place I had didn't carry DOM, so I just bought the cold rolled 11 gauge wall. The interior wall, or the ID, is 1 inch. So it seems to be working fine. So anyways, I'm going to try it out a little bit more, see how it works, but so far I'm pretty happy with it. And then, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but I bought this set of these 3 chisels to go with the air hammer because the chisels that typically come with these air handles look like chisels, and I needed something flat to hit against these lower anvils. And I thought I was buying something flat, and one of them did indeed come flat, but it also has a little bit of a indentation, pimple, something in the middle of it. And I wanted to use this one because it was the widest one of the 3, and also had the shortest shank. But this one had a radius, kind of like this one has a radius, you can see, maybe. This one had a radius as well, and I needed it flat. So I ended up having to grind the radius off of this and make it flat myself. Which was unfortunate. I don't know if I bought the wrong set or what, but anyways, this one, now that I've ground it flat, seems to work fine. The nice thing about this Planishing Hammer is not only can I hold it in my hands and run it along the seams, weld seams that are in the Studebaker, but I can also mount it into a vise and use it for smaller pieces. So even if I had hammer formed something and there's hammer marks in the steel, I'm hoping I can run it through the Planishing Hammer here and take all those marks out. So I'm going to try, this is the piece of scrap that I used to demonstrate the bead roller. So now I'm going to try to take out this little lip, or this little form that the bead roller put in it, and see how the Planishing Hammer does. Well, there it is. It took it right out. There's still some lines in it from the dies on the bead roller put in it, but certainly flattened that piece right up. So pretty nice. And you saw me using it a little earlier on the roof, and I haven't planished the whole roof yet, but what I have done, I'm pretty happy. It brought some of the weld seams that were kind of sunken in, it brought them right back up again. Yeah, I'm happy I made it. Going to make another lower jaw that isn't so tall, doesn't make the thing so tall, but so far it looks really good. I like it, and seems to be doing the job. Well, that's it for this one. Hopefully you're going to be seeing some of these tools that I'm building in some of the videos going forward. I know that I used the slap hammer in the last video, so you probably already saw it being used then. But definitely going to be, I think I'm going to be using this planishing hammer quite a bit. Hopefully I get a little bit more practice on the bead roller, and I can use that. I know I'm going to need it for things like floor pans and even the back of the cab when I start building that. So excited to kind of get a little bit more familiar with that. But if you made it this far, appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.